What's going on, guys? It is Duct Tape Guns here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the project that I've been working on over the past year. This is my model of the Steyr AUG A3 assault rifle. It hasn't taken me a year total to actually build the model. It's just I've had school and other hobbies kind of get in the way of my gun building hobby. Haven't really had a lot of time exclusively for gun building, but I do try to dedicate some of my free time to working on these projects. So bit by bit, piece by piece over the year, I was able to build this rifle and show you guys the finalized model today. So a little bit of information about the real life weapon before we go into my model. The Steyr AUG A3 is an Austrian bullpup assault rifle chambered in 5.56 by 45mm. It's pretty popular in movies and video games, I think primarily due to its modern if not futuristic look. Pretty interesting weapon, so I decided I wanted to make it. I've always wanted to make this weapon. And I have, again, over the year, bit by bit, I was able to build it and bring you guys the final model that you see here in this video. My model is a 1-to-1 replica of the actual weapon, dimension-wise. It was pretty tricky to attain this weird shape that the AUG has, as well as implement all of the mechanical functions that I wanted to put into the weapon. But with a lot of time that I put into this weapon, I was able to do it, and I'm pretty proud of the result. Aesthetically, it looks pretty accurate to the real weapon, and I will be showing you guys the mechanical functions in a bit. It's 28.2 inches in length from the tip of the barrel to the end of the stock, which is pretty short for an assault rifle, but bullpup assault rifles are generally shorter than rifles where the magazine and the bolt are in front of the trigger. Color-wise, I know that the AUG is sometimes depicted with this kind of green minty color and its polymer casing, but I couldn't find that exact color of duct tape. Plus, I think my normal gray gunmetal color that I use for most of my weapons lends well to the tactical look of the weapon. It has a nice sheen to it, and I think it accents well with the tan magazine and ejection port cover, as well as some of these other white little functions here. And of course, on the tip, we have an orange tip to indicate that it is a toy model. It is an extremely realistic model, so I don't want anybody confusing it for a real-life weapon. So now moving on to the actual mechanical properties of the weapon, we have some, we have a trigger with a with a safety. So right now it is on safe, so the trigger cannot be pulled back. However, if we turn the safety off, the trigger is able to be pulled back and reciprocates by itself via a spring inside. The safety is ambidextrous, so it can be pushed or pulled from either side. On the real-life weapon, pushed all the way in would be safe, maybe halfway would be semi-auto, and then all the way would be full auto. But because all my safety does is restrict whether or not the trigger goes back or forth, and it is just a model that doesn't actually shoot, I just restricted the safety to safe, white, and fire red. Next, we have probably the trickiest function of the weapon, getting a charging handle and a bolt to all work in tandem with this strange design. So, the charging handle can be pulled back and is reciprocated by a very strong spring here in the back. If you pull the charging handle to any length, it will immediately go right back to its original position in the front. And as you can see here, it also moves the bolt when you pull it back. Kind of like a MP5K style charging handle. You can pull the charging handle back and shift it up so that it lines up with this notch. And we can take this opportunity to see that the bolt is pushed back, and we can look inside. We can see one of the silver bolt rods, some of the ammunition in the magazine, the chamber. And because of the really strong spring, all you have to do is flick it down, and everything immediately comes flying forward. Because the AUG A3 is a modern rifle, it does have a bolt catch/bolt release implemented into the weapon, as do I in my model. What would happen in the real-life model is you would fire the rifle's last round, and the bolt would automatically fire back and be caught by the bolt catch. Because this is a model that does not fire or have that functionality, we have to manually pull the charging handle back, push up the bolt catch, and now we can see that the charging handle is independent of the bolt here. If we release it, bolt and bolt carrier come flying forward and slams everything forward. Again, it's that really strong spring in the back that gives the weapon that very authentic jolt when you activate these these functions, and I really appreciate that about this rifle, and I'm glad I implemented that. One last thing about the ejection port here for the bolt. As you can see, there is an ejection port cover on this side, and it is an ambidextrous ejection port cover. Depending on which side you put it on would indicate what side the shells would eject from. If you were firing it right-handed as I'm holding it, you'd probably want it on this side, but because I wanted to show you guys the bolt moving and all that, I had it on the right side. As a right-handed shooter, you would probably want this on this side so you don't get hot brass flying in your face. So, next we have the magazine and the magazine catch and release. As we can see, all throughout the video I've been moving the weapon. The magazine hasn't fallen now at all, and it will continue to stay in there until you press the magazine release. I have two magazines here, both 30-round box magazines. They have some 5.56 ammunition in here, which are just some carved wooden dowels with some brass and with some brass tape and gold tape. I also added a little bit of grip detail on the sides of the weapons, as well as little fake rubber paddings. And these are the notches that the magazine gets caught, that the magazine catch in the weapon catches onto. I don't know if I can actually show it, but you can see there. So how it works is, you put the magazine in, it gets caught, and it doesn't shake out. I like having two magazines because you can do these kind of cool like AK style reloads where you use one magazine to reload. And it also, these magazines pair extremely well with the properties of the charging handle and the bolt that I showed before. So you could definitely do something like take the charging handle, lock it, reload, and then release. Or we could even use the bolt catch method, where we take this, put the bolt up, we fired our last round, release the magazine, new magazine in, and bolt release. Oh, oops, I didn't even lock it. Bolt catch, and now bolt release. Let me do that again, just because I messed up. Bolt catch, independent of the charging handle, new magazine in, bolt release. There we go. It makes a really fulfilling reloading experience, and that's what I really liked about this model. That was the main objective of this model, to have a nice reloading, strong charging handle, and very stable and reliable magazine catch, and I think I've achieved that, as well as keeping the aesthetic authenticity of the weapon intact as well. So next we also have this little receiver lock. I'm going to make a second video showing all the mechanical properties of the weapon, like taking apart. I'm going to field strip the weapon, but for now I'll just show you guys quickly what it does. If you were to disassemble the weapon, you would press this button in, and this would release the receiver from this casing that houses the magazine and trigger group and the trigger and all that. And here we can kind of see the inner workings of the receiver, charging handle, how it moves back the bolt. Again, in the field strip video, I will definitely be more in depth about this, but just for the sake of showing you guys what that piece did, showing you its function, it's actually very simple to take this weapon apart too, if need be, if something mechanically fails or whatever. We also have a foregrip here. The foregrip is not the sturdiest, but it is able to hold up the entire weight of the weapon, as we can see here. Not very heavy, but considering it's made out of cardboard and cheaper, weaker materials, it's pretty strong. So it can be folded, so move this pin and put the pin up, and that is the extent of folding the grip. It can now be held like this. Whether or not that'd be practical on the real rifle, I don't know, but you can do it on my model. There's no real detriment to holding it like that, I suppose, if it's more comfortable. Just another little added detail. The final mechanical function, albeit it's not really a mechanic, well, it is to me, is the new charging handle that I've implemented onto my weapons. So in the past, people have suggested to me that I implement actual tactical rails because the Velcro strips that I had before kind of weren't cutting it. It was very easy to take an optic that had the corresponding Velcro and slide it on, and it was cool and all, but it was very wobbly and it wasn't very sturdy and it wasn't realistic at all. So on this weapon, I made an actual tactical rail. Very quickly, I'll show you these iron sights, which can be taken off the tactical rail, if I can line it up. Very basic iron sights with a little white reticle on the front post. We can take these off, And as you can see, I have some optics in the back ready to go. This is the little red dot sight that I've made. Little reticle is just a little piece of red tape. And we have a knob here that, though it does not change anything, it's just nice to have a little, why not, right? So, like I said, no longer sliding it on with Velcro, we are sliding it on, and it is very sturdy. I'm holding up the whole weight of the gun with this. So, here's the sight picture of the red dot sight. And it does add a tactical feel, so I know I had to make an optic for the weapon. But just to prove that it actually is a legitimate tactical rail, I also have in the back there a real red dot optic, albeit a very cheap one. This is a red dot optic that I got from Target several years ago that I've had in my closet. So I pulled it out to show you guys that it can be used on this rifle. Just have to line it up. It's a little tricky to do so from this angle. I think I got it. Let's see if I can do this on the first try without having to cut video. Alright, I think I got it. Yep. And just like on a real weapon with a real tactical rail, we can see that I should probably turn the reticle on, that'd probably be smart. We can see that an actual optic can be fitted onto this rifle. I feel like the new tactical rail system is much better than my old one. I still have Velcro on it only because I feel like that's how I've made my tactical rails all these past years, and it's more of an aesthetic thing at this point because obviously the Velcro is pointless now, but it's paying homage to my older weapons, and it would be kind of tough to individually make little pieces, indents on the rifle, so I just went with my Velcro, although it doesn't do anything anymore. So now we can put our iron sights back on, which personally of the three are actually my favorite of the sight apertures. Okay, so the only thing left of the weapon are a couple details that I haven't mentioned already. We have some slings here, especially on the back of this pin here. There's a disassembly pin for the butt pad and the trigger group. Again, I'm going to have a second video showing off all the field stripping and the mechanical pieces of this weapon. I feel like it'd be too long if I included that in this video. The corresponding sling is on the front here. The slings, though, they're nice looking, they're not exactly very strong, so I didn't even bother making a sling. They're just more for an aesthetic look. And here we have a gas piston, which can be taken apart, but that's just more or less for aesthetics. Overall, I think this weapon was extremely fun to build, though at times it was a little annoying kind of mixing in the weird shape of the weapon and all the other, functionalities and whatnot. On my Twitter, I've posted a step-by-step process on how I've built this, considering that on YouTube I've been posting in intervals of years in between videos, and I don't really respond to comments. So if you want to check out what progress or what projects I've been working on, you can go follow me on Twitter at DuctTapeGuns. That pretty much concludes the video for the overall view of my Steyr AUG. Again, I will be showing a field strip video with more in-depth mechanical look at the view, but that pretty much concludes this video. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Duct Tape Guns with my Steyr AUG A3 assault rifle model. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.